hide sees the initiative. I would hope we're not playing Golden Urn, but we may. It's a good card to pick up because even in a deck like ours, we can main deck it and it turns on Metalcraft, and if you're not playing against poison late game, it can be alright. So, this is an interesting pick, and a lot of people are just going to be like, oh my god, Molten Tail Masticore! Because people love mythics and they love money, so. And so do I. I like money. And yeah, I am going to take the Molten Tail Masticore. This is an interesting pick. We don't take the Palladium Mirror, but God, Golem Artisan and the Grasp are such great cards. I think Grasp is probably the best piece of removal in this format if you're playing heavy enough black. It's just so fast and so powerful. But the ability of the Masticore, being able to flame jab your opponent every turn, I've played with this guy, and sometimes you have to be careful when you play him because sometimes it can be a curse, the fact that you have to pitch a card every single turn just to keep him alive. But picking up some cards later on like Palladium Mirror, hopefully this Solid's on wheels, by the way, just a side note. And I'm happy to take this Molten Tail Masticore. It is MTGO, and I'm happy to take this and be able to pay for part of my draft. Plus, we're definitely going to be playing him. So, Necrogen Scudder is a good card, but I think we're lacking on artifacts, and we're still kind of considering black, maybe blue, and Shatter's a good card, but we have not seen much red, so I think that maybe coming back around we're going to see some red, but in Pack 3 I think it's going to get cut completely due to the fact that we didn't see anything except for that Galvanic Blast that we opened. I think Moriok Replica is just a better card, and again with our Metalcraft, we're trying to get Metalcraft. We may have to end up cutting this soon, but I'm going to play this card, Metalcraft or not, and so I'm happy to take it because I know I'm going to include it in my deck, assuming we do stay black, which I think we may. We just have too many black cards at this point it'd be really hard to move over to blue. Plus, blue really hasn't been that open. We've seen a couple, I guess, kind of late blue cards, but nothing that really catches my eye. So Solitons are easy to pick up, and we thought about the Heavy Arbalest idea, but at this point, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna make the decision and go black-white, unless we see some obscene blue coming by, but I really don't think we will. The pick here is pretty obvious. We're trying to do that Metalcraft theme, so the gold mirror is great. I really like the mirror with the flesh allergies because late game mirror don't do much, and you can sack them with flesh allergy to make them lose a little bit of life and destroy, well, anything. And yeah, that's a pretty easy pick. I mean, I guess the only tough thing about that pick is that crossroads of like, well, Soliton and Arbalest are great, and yeah, they are, but we have some great black cards here. Fume Spitter I really like, Flesh Allergy I really like, and Bleak Coven I really like. And Blam, love to see that. Tumble Magnet, we already had that Glint Hawk, and like this Glint Hawk was looking more and more grim, and we ended up passing that Necrogen sensor for the Flesh Allergy earlier. I'm really glad we see this right here, and honestly I hope we get more. Tumble Magnet's just awesome. Tumble Magnet is a lot better in aggro decks than it is in control decks. I wouldn't say we're aggro or control necessarily yet, though. We have a pretty, if you look at our curve, it's pretty even. But I really like cards like Tumble Magnet and Necrogen Sensor because they're artifacts that people don't necessarily remove easily. Things like Moriok Replica disappear really fast, or the Sylvok Replica, the green one, they disappear really quickly because you use them to destroy things or draw cards. Whereas a Tumble Magnet, you use the counters, but then there's no reason to destroy it, so it keeps your Metalcraft online, plus being able to tap 3 different things. There's a lot of utility there. Interesting. Foil Gold Mirror is pretty, and ramps us, which is good. Flesh Allergy is great, but honestly, we don't really. I really like Flesh Allergy with cards like Perilous Mirror. I do like it with the mirror, but obviously Perilous Mirror is a much better, a much better card for it. And since I always say I like to get the metal before I get the metal craft, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this mirror again. And later on, when we see these late Flesh Allergies like we have been this draft, we can go ahead and pick that one up later on. I think these, honestly, I think these will be harder to find than the Flesh Allergies. And yeah, I'm not going to consider Kemba's Skyguard. It doesn't fit our deck at all. Same thing with the Auriok Sunchaser with the whole entire Metal before Metal craft. So, I don't think our deck is aggressive enough for Chrome Steed. I think we have some really solid late game cards with the Molten Tail Masticore, the Contagion Engine. I even consider Bleak Coven really solid kind of late game because you get a 4/3 for 5, you change the life totals by 8. It's huge. The swing that Bleak Coven Vampires gives on a game that when you're not playing against Poison is obscene. And a lot of people don't realize that, because I've had some people say, "Well, I never have my Metalcraft online." Well, it's like draft more artifacts then. And that's what we're doing. We're drafting our artifacts. So I'm going to take the Rust Tick over the Snap Sail. If we had more of an aggro deck, like we were talking about earlier with the Glint Hawk, we would have taken that Snap Sail Glider. But we get one anyways here, so it doesn't matter. I don't mind the Lifesmith, really. A lot of people hate on him, but usually I sideboard him in because he's terrible main board if you're playing against Poison. We're making a lot of Poison references here. That's okay. Poison is a big part of the format, so it's definitely worth talking about a lot. Snap Sail Glider turns on Metalcraft. It's a 2/2 beater. That's about all there is to him. I wouldn't say there's any synergy in our deck with the Snap Sail, but you know, what is this pick? 6, 7. So yeah, that's an okay card to pick up. And we were talking about picking up Necrogen Sensors. I'd like to pick up another Glinthawk, to be honest, because we are going to take this Necrogen Sensor, and if we pick up another Glinthawk, we have some pretty good targets for it. Tumble Magnet, the Sensor, the Contagion Engine. We have anything else? I also really like Glinthawk when they use arrests or bonds of Quicksilver or something on one of your creatures, being able to bounce it back to your hand and replay it. That's card advantage, and I love card advantage. And we've been seeing a lot of those. Like I said, just don't pick up Auriok Sunchaser very early. That's one of those cards that goes so late all the time that it's just not very good. And we're not blue, even though we would like this Soliton Heavy Arbalest thing to work. But we were right about it wheeling, so I guess that's something to note. This was actually a pretty good pack when we opened it. This was the one with the Masticore and the Grasp and the Golem Artisan. There's actually some definitely playable cards left. I like Bonds. I give Bonds a lot more credit than other people do. They're always like, well, that means it already swung into you. Isn't necessarily true, because they can use different. I mean, a lot of creatures have tap abilities that you can use the Bonds on, and you haven't necessarily taken like 6 damage from it or anything. We're not gonna play Tyranax, even though I don't want to see it played against me. Hate Draft is by far the very last priority. You don't open up a pack that has Cerebral Eruption in it, and then you're like, I don't want to get Cerebral Eruption for 5 or something like that. Hate Draft. If there's a card in the pack that you may play in your deck, take it over the Hate Draft. Wow, wonder if blue's open. I'd say we're more scared of a Thrumming Bird than a Soliton, because we already took their Heavy Arbalest. Ha! I mean, we're probably not gonna be playing Salvage Scout, but still, it's a good thing to be able to sideboard in if they're playing a lot of artifact removal or something like that. And this pick doesn't matter. We'll just cut the color we're playing. And look at that, Auriok Sunchaser. What'd I tell you?